Hey everybody, it's Suzette Speaks. I want to welcome you to my show right here on YouTube. I want to big up everybody watching both on the Facebook side, whether you're watching on our co-sponsored broadcast today on the Jamaicans.com Facebook page, or if you're watching live from my YouTube page. I want to welcome you. I have a fantastic show for you today. We're going to be discussing some politics. This has been the major news, you guys, all over social media and beyond. I'm talking about the story of the Tennessee Three. If you have been under a rock, okay, I get it. You may have not heard about the Tennessee Three, but if you pay attention even just a little bit, you have seen these three individuals who I'm going to talk more about in the news because of what happened to them in the great state of Tennessee in the United States. Now, why is a Jamaican American talking about Tennessee Three? Well, if you know anything about this channel, you know I'm always into politics and justice and making sure I inform people about what's going on that really matters. Well, in this case, what happened in Tennessee is probably one of the biggest, I would say, warning signs we could have when it comes to democracy in the United States right now. We have three individuals who were placed basically on the chopping block, were expelled or at least made to defend themselves against expulsion for what was deemed to be an inappropriate protest on the chamber floor of the Tennessee House of Representatives. Well, after there was a tragic incident with gun violence at a local church school in Tennessee, three individuals that you see here on your screen decided to join in a protest by members of the public who were in attendance at the Tennessee State House during hearings. They were not recognized to speak. They began to speak on bullhorns and were kind of interacting with the crowd at the time. And because of that behavior, the Speaker of the Tennessee House entertained a motion to expel the three of them. As you'll notice, two are young Black men. One is a probably around middle-aged white woman, all Democrats. But during the vote, only two ended up becoming expelled. And they were the two young Black lawmakers. The white Democrat woman was spared by one vote. Many are questioning why was it that she happened to be spared, while the two youngest members of the Tennessee House of Representatives were not. Well, I have great news. They were reinstated this week. We're going to talk about why. We're going to talk about why this also may have backfired on the Republicans of Tennessee and what it says about democracy in the U.S. as a whole. I really think there is an awakening going on, y'all. Please leave a message if you're watching around the world. Say hello in the chat. If you're watching on the team replay, catching us now, please just go ahead and hit the like button. Let us know, nonetheless, where you're watching from and what you have heard about the story. How did this news story make you feel? Where are you watching and how is it being interpreted across this globe? Yes, the Tennessee Three made headlines. And before I get more into it, I want to tell you I have a couple shows coming up. Please be sure to check me out on Wednesday. I'm going to be talking about the soft life, career women versus this thing called the soft life. Is it either or, ladies? If you're into relationships, dating, and getting to know what other women, and this is a professional woman with a podcast who will be on my show on Wednesday, are saying about how women can better balance career, dating, and relationships, you want to join me next Wednesday. That's 8 p.m. Eastern. I'm going to have the host of the Edified Minds podcast joining me. And then I'm going to do it for the gentlemen come next Thursday, the Bro Code. We're going to have a top 5 list, top 5 tips for you with the host of a gentleman from the Mentee channel. So that's next Wednesday and Thursday. At Thursday will be 4:30 Eastern. But yeah, today's show is dedicated to these valiant souls. You saw them all over the news. They were put in a position to defend their elected seats, begging, if you will, or making the case for, I guess would be a better way of putting it, for their seats, expelled from a body to which they were duly elected by their constituents, one from Nashville, Mr. Justin Jones, one from Memphis, Mr. Justin Pearson, who you see, one in the white suit, one in the black suit, respectively. And of course, Gloria Johnson, who was also among those who, even though she did not touch the bullhorn during the rally, or I wouldn't even call it a rally, during the, what should I say, interjection, because they were not recognized by the speaker at the time. There was no business being held on the floor at the time. They were in between the reading of bills, and they decided to take the mic and speak up and speak out against what was being basically ignored in the Tennessee legislature, which is common sense gun reform. So because of that protest, them being on the bullhorn in the middle of the floor, meaning the well, the lawmakers have their seats and they kind of point to like a center, large dais in the middle of the House of Representatives. And because they took over the well, took over according to what the the speaker described it, they were sanctioned. And they were sanctioned, I'm talking about to the highest level, not sent to maybe an ethics committee, not given a chance to make their case in a sense. They were automatically sent to the chopping block, right? To be expelled from the body to which they were elected. So we saw that. It was quite jarring for many. Hey, how are you? I see you guys in the chat. Maggie, nice to see you. First of all, shout out to Maggie, the substitute teacher on the super chat. I have seen you exploding here on YouTube, my love. I'm so grateful. If you guys are watching on the Facebook side, come on over to YouTube. Look up SuzetteSpeaks and this lady right here, Maggie, the substitute teacher. Let me just give Maggie her proper due. My homegirl Maggie has been, I think, one of the fastest growing channels on YouTube yet. I think you just hit, 10,000 subscribers? One day, sis, I'm knocking on 5, but congratulations to you, all your hard work and your wonderful content. You guys, please go over and support Maggie. And I appreciate you, sis, showing love today on a beautiful Saturday and keeping us, eating good with all the wonderful recipes, guys. She cooks several times a day and she records it all like live as she's cooking. And you have made me a better preparer of meals. And I'm grateful just to watch you. I think I've grown a lot in how I prepare my food. Thanks to you, Maggie. I appreciate the love, sis. Thank you so much for coming through. I want to say hello to a couple more folks before we get into it. I want to see what you guys have to say about the Tennessee 3. Has it changed democracy as we know it? Are people now more aware of what could really be at risk if we're not paying attention? Do you think it has kind of sparked any kind of change for real? And I'm talking about around the world and other states other than Tennessee. How are you kind of digesting what happened this past week and a half? I want to know what you have to say. Hey, Damon, great to have you. Let me see Alan's opinion. Alan says America is resplendent with their own stupidity. Wow. Strong words. Thank you for your opinion, Alan. Great to have you here. Good afternoon, CBN. Happy to see you. Brother says, good afternoon, my sister Suzette speaks. It's been a while. No, listen, work happens. Life happens. When life starts life and we got to just let it do what it do. When we come back strong. I appreciate you. Thanks for being here, CBN Tech Talks. And I always appreciate the love. Good day, West Coast of the building. Quincy, I see you. How are you, brother? Missed you. Hope all is well. Sandy W. in the building. Good to see you too, sister. And I'm grateful, very grateful for all the support you always show. And she's always with me when I'm over on the Roland Martin Network each and every Wednesday from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern. You'll catch me over there. And we've been talking about this a lot. I want to talk about what moved me. The speech that Justin Pearson gave after all of this occurred when he was reinstated. This is the gentleman with the afro and the glasses. When he came out of that hall after he got reinstated by the Memphis City Council, the speech he gave on those steps, I would encourage everyone to go out and watch that speech. Go watch it on YouTube. It's on the Roland Martin channel. His response was just so authentically beautiful. Right? He was in the moment. He was, to me, he was having a spiritual moment on those steps. And the words that came out of his mouth were just so moving and inspirational. And I don't mean that in a kind of fluff way. I want to make sure you guys go see it because, again, I don't see really politicians moving in that type of way and being so transparent. But I don't think he even had control of it. I think he was much more in the spirit, as we say, in terms of just the raw nature of his feelings. You don't really see joy displayed like that, like I saw that he had in terms of a man, in terms of a Black man being able to emote and show the full range of his emotions, from being, the super buttoned up to code switch to the person who probably just loves God, and how much he felt a weight off his shoulder coming back to the body, being voted back into the body. I could imagine. So what if you were in their shoes, guys, thinking about how much pressure was on them, how much was at stake in terms of being reinstated, and why and should they have been voted out in the first place? I want to hear from you. Like I said, this story also rubbed a lot of people the wrong way because their colleague, who you see in the middle, Ms. Johnson, was spared. She was not expelled, although she did not take the the megaphone, the small amplifier that the other two gentlemen took during their protest on the House floor, the Tennessee House floor. She was spared. And so many people asked her, why do you think you were spared, ma'am? Ms. Johnson, why do you think you were spared? She said, I don't know. Maybe it has something to do with the color of her skin. Her words. And I will say she has stood shoulder to shoulder, quite literally, as you can see, with her two colleagues, her two Democratic colleagues in the Tennessee House throughout this tumultuous time. And even though she herself was never removed, never expelled from the body, you wouldn't have been able to tell because she has been by their sides, Justin's sides, the two Justins, Justin Jones and Justin Pearson, every step of the way as this has kind of unfolded this week. So how did this story touch you? How did it make you feel? And what do you think it says about democracy as a whole in the United States? Many people took very, deep umbrage to how the Tennessee legislature handled these two young men. Many people felt like, again, they were targeted because they're young. Some have added because they are African American. They're Democratic in their views. And the Tennessee legislature is controlled by Republicans. And some people, I've seen commenters all over the news saying that, they were being told to stay in their place, being told that there's a line that you can't cross, and it is being called a line of decorum by Republicans. Let's just be fair in how they're characterizing it. They're saying that it's due to breaking the House rules of decorum. And then others are saying, do not play with us. That's not what they saw. So how do you see it? Should they have been expelled initially? Guys, we have a lot to talk about. I want to welcome you. Hit the like button as you come in. It's been a minute. Hope everybody's well. I have a couple shows coming up already for next week. We're back at it. Make sure you're with me Wednesday. The stream is already up. First one is the Girl Code, talking about living the soft life, if we really want to do that. Women, career, and relationships. That's Wednesday with the Edified Minds podcast. And then Thursday, I'm turning it over to the Bro Code, to the gentleman, and we're going to talk about a top 5 list. I'm not going to tell you what it is. You got to hit the notification bell. Both streams are already up. So that's Thursday coming up with the Mentee channel. The host, Mr. Gerald from over in the Mentee channel, he'll be with me on Thursday. So we're back into the swing of things. Glad to see everybody here. Happy that you're here. Hit the like button. I want to say hello to a couple more of my people as we talk about this story. Hey, Jeremy, what's up? Out Here Trucking is in the building, talking about what happened to the Tennessee 3. Your feedback, please, in the chat. How did you see this story? Did it touch you the way it really did touch me? How do you think it impacts politics as a whole? And I really do believe the Republicans miscalculated on this one. Hey, Mandrell, good to have you. They thought they were expelling and getting rid of these two individuals, these two young Black men, but really and truly, they've created rock stars. They are larger than life. They have raised so much money. The Tennessee Democratic Party has raised so much money since all of this has happened. So the people that they had wanted to marginalize, silence, put aside, have now become international heroes. And I don't think they would have ever imagined that their actions would have created, such transcendent figures in these two young men, but it has. And how they have been bravely speaking truth to power has been a total inspiration for folks all around the world, especially as we get into them individually. I love their life stories. There's so much about them. HBCU grads. I'm just really excited, especially today, to talk about it, since they are back in the body. They were both reinstated. We're going to talk about it. Republicans feeling the heat in Tennessee as the council reinstated or voted to return. First and foremost, Justin Jones. That was last Monday. So this is Justin Jones. This is who was first reinstated. You'll notice that he has a very signature look, ponytail there. Let me make it a little bit bigger so you can see him. And welcome, everybody. He, again, was one of the 2 Black young Democratic lawmakers who were expelled from the Tennessee House of Representatives. So that's him. You can see him. Typically, he's wearing a kind of light color suits is his style, ponytail. Read about him. His mom is of Filipino descent. Dad is African American. He has been an activist. He has a long history of activism and now is a representative from the Nashville area. So and the youngest in this body in the Tennessee House of Representatives. So he's of a different generation from most of the people that he's serving with. He's very outspoken. He has been in the streets, so to speak, in terms of his activism for some time now. And it was just really interesting for me to see, how well he has carried himself and what he has put forward as, his type of defiant leadership. It's different, y'all. When you listen to him speak on the Tennessee House floor, when he is even addressing the speaker now that he's been reinstated, which took place this past Monday, he was really kind of I saw it in some memes, and it said if getting it in writing was a person. He told the speaker, "Listen, my garage key access was taken, Mr. Speaker. They are telling me in HR it was at your direction. Mr. Speaker, I didn't have my health care was canceled, Mr. Speaker. Would it be reinstated? Mr. Speaker, you're allowed in Tennessee to file a certain amount of bills." He's like, "My 15 bills, what happened to them? They were moved to another individual. Mr. Speaker, can I file my 15 more?" He said, "Yes." He's like, "And I intend to file all 15 when it comes to making common sense gun regulation here in Tennessee." Tennessee don't even have any red flag laws right now, guys. So anything that could have possibly been in place in that regard when it comes to mental health or any type of pre-warning that someone might be in distress and purchasing a weapon and about to do something. Tennessee, at the time of the incident that happened at the Covenant Church School, it had no red flag, or has currently no red flag laws. So due to this I can't even, like, the word mass shooting doesn't really justify to me, because we're about 140 of them in here in the United States, and we only in April. At the time of the mass shooting in Nashville, I think we were at 130. But is it enough to actually bring legislation, as we just talked about another one in Kentucky this week at a bank? Right, where a young man, 20, I believe like 26, please don't quote me, went into his workplace and took the lives of several individuals. So the whole reason they had stood up in the House floor, they weren't being recognized to speak. And so they took the small bullhorn and yelled up to the crowd, get it, common sense gun reform, common sense gun reform now. And because of that, it cost them their seats. But thankfully, their local bodies, as it were, the Nashville Council and the Memphis Council, are controlled more by Democrats. So the statewide government is more controlled by the State House and the State Senate, is more controlled by Republicans. But they got the majority of the vote. It didn't even take long for either of them to get reinstated and sworn in and back to the body that they loved and that they were elected by their constituents to serve. But we saw, was it a statement more? Did they already know basically that these men were actually going to be reinstated because of the process? And they know that those councils, the Nashville Council and the Memphis City Council, are controlled mostly by Democrats and are far more diverse than the actual statewide House of Representatives and state Senate? Was it a futile exercise? And then again, did it backfire? I'm going to read some of your comments, y'all. I love it. I'm loving what you're saying in the chat. Welcome, everybody. Suzette Speaks. Beautiful day out here in Miami. Even though we had tons of rain, y'all, water on my streets. I mean, they said 27 inches, depending on where you were, 15 to 27 inches in less than 7 hours in Miami this week, guys. We were flooded. Several people still thinking about those people who still have their homes and inundated with water. We had it bad, y'all. The canals and the rivers and the ocean all met on land. Y'all know we were a swamp once upon a time. The Everglades came back. The River of Grass came back this past week, and it was crazy. It was actually crazy. They closed schools the last 2 days just to try to accommodate, the cleanup. But we were 2 feet of 3 feet of water, depending on how close you live to a river, a canal, and the ocean. It was really crazy. But as I said, today is dedicated to what happened to the Tennessee 3. And I want to know if you think democracy is under attack. Did it touch you? Do you think it's going to spark a movement countrywide or even around the world? And what impact do you think it has had on the movement for more transparency, more, what should I say, more, should I say, diverse thoughts when it comes to common sense gun regulation? Or no matter what happens, no matter how many people are taken away by gun violence in our country, will we ever see this dealt with, common sense gun regulation dealt with either on a national level or on a state level? Let me know your thoughts, you guys. These were the headlines this week, talking about what happened in Tennessee and the Tennessee 3. This was from the Tennessee, and Justin Jones returns to the state legislature after unanimous Nashville Council appointment. This was as of April 10th. So he came back first on Monday. He was the first reinstated, and it was, quite a scene. The public was very much there with him. Protesters came out to say, "We stand with you." And again, across the country, I think this story particularly struck a nerve. Would love to see what you guys have to say. Let me read a few of your comments and get some feedback on what happened in Tennessee this week. How are you feeling? What do you think happened? And do you think it will have any impact on democracy as a whole going forward? Let me see. Welcome if you're watching on the Jamaicans.com, our co-sponsors for today. If they are, if you're watching on the Facebook side, please leave a comment. If you're watching on the YouTube side on the Suzette Speaks Show channel, please do, y'all. It's been a minute. I'm glad to be here. And we got some great shows lined up for you next week. Make sure you come over to YouTube and look up Suzette Speaks and check out some of my upcoming shows. All right, Primrose, welcome. Take some water here. Yes, reminiscent of Martin Luther King and Malcolm X through Barack Obama. Okay, gives me hope for the participation of this generation in the outcome of our future. Hear, hear. I know a lot of people like to say that this generation is not as civic-minded or they're more selfish. Actually not. Actually, this the main, I think they say the top 3 issues for Gen Z, no matter if they're Republican or if they're Democrat, happen to be gun reform, climate change, LGBTQ issues, and of course, some would add, informally, the women's rights issues that are being very much stripped away state by state here in the United States, even in this great state in Florida where I am. The governor just quietly signed, like nothing happened, actually on the day of the Nashville shooting, signed a bill, or the bill was proposed and then signed, where there's now you have to have a driver's license, a permit to drive a car in Florida, but you don't have to have a permit according to the bill that was just signed to carry a weapon. So now in Florida, we have permitless carry, which many argue makes it so much more dangerous for our young people, for people in general, that you no longer have to go through the steps. It's just blowing my mind. Welcome to Florida. Based on that new legislation that just was signed. The governor also quietly yesterday signed a bill. 6 weeks maximum for termination of pregnancy. None after 6 weeks, with the exception of human trafficking. We can't say the word here on YouTube, grape, as we'll say, or incest. You have to have a proven note to prove those things to get the exception. But there is basically a 6-week ban now in the state of Florida with very slim exceptions. What's happening? Y'all, you guys ready? Is this democracy? Because people will argue Republicans like small government, except when they're telling you what to do with every part of your life, every part of your body. 6 weeks now in Florida. Florida had seen, before it was, I think, 15, and there were conservatives that were arguing with the governor, that's not enough. We need it to be shorter. Basically, I was like, they're forcing everyone into one category. So there will be no right to choose, if you will. Very soon, it seems as if that's the way the pendulum is swinging. But yeah, Florida's governor, Ron DeSantis, just signed a bill, signed a law banning, termination of pregnancy beyond 6 weeks, with very few exceptions. Are you paying attention to what's going on? Yeah. So what is happening in our democracy? Is this significant or no? Was this something that was like a fluke? Let's see what we got to say. Hey, KL. KL says activism is not good for humanity. Activism means that the ends justify the means. Activism means that good and evil don't matter. Thank you for your opinion. I appreciate that. Hey, Miss AKA Lady. Thank you for being here. You still have to have a background check. Is that right for Florida? That's just for concealed carry. Correct me. That's just for you don't need a concealed weapons license. That's correct. Thank you. But you still have to pass a background check. Yeah. Appreciate you. Thank you for that clarification. Georgia says, love the work you're doing. I appreciate you. Thanks for being here, Georgia. Welcome. Alan, in his opinion, says, because the country is people by, in his opinion, he wrote it there, white people by enlarge, denigrate, and look down upon Black people. His opinion. Do you honestly believe that there's much that separates the Democrats from the Republicans? Thank you for your opinion, sir. Some may disagree with you, right? I think you have good people that really do just respect humanity on both sides. I think you have people who are louder with messages that are more divisive, and therefore they have taken control of what we say, the story, the narrative, and put it out there that this side only thinks this and that side only thinks that. I think it's very dangerous to paint everybody with one stroke, with a broad brush, because I think you have good and reasonable people that just want, some of the basic principles that used to be called, for example, republicanism, so-called smaller government, even though every time I look up in my great state of Florida, we have new laws that are just doing, the most to limit new rights or other rights, parental rights in school. Like, I had a teacher tell me, he was like, the governor is literally in my classroom with me now. Like, while I'm in my classroom, I'm thinking about what I can say, what I can't say, right? There's no freedom of speech, so to speak. But yeah, I disagree with this statement, but I appreciate your sentiment. Please continue to bring them here. I would love to hear what you have to say. Yes, this is the concern, Mandrell. You barely would even know if you're pregnant at 6 weeks. You don't even necessarily, probably may not have any signs or symptoms, morning sickness or showing in terms of the size of one's tummy, et cetera, et cetera. So you wouldn't even have an option. They're basically removing this option across the board, because what had happened was at 15 weeks, which it was reduced to last year in Florida, there were people that were traveling from states who had already had 6 weeks a 6-week ban, coming to seek medical care after the 6-week period here in Florida. And there are people that were arguing on the very conservative side that said they don't want Florida to be a destination state. We need to cut this out, and we're going to lower it as well. So it passed in the Republican-controlled State House of Representatives and the Republican-controlled State Senate in Florida. So the state of Florida, their House of Representatives, their Senate proposed this bill for 6-week ban on termination of pregnancies. And it passed, and it was signed by the governor. So are we ready for more? This is, hey, Dusto, nice to see you. Yeah, this is just a kind of recap of what happened in Tennessee with these gentlemen. Tennessee 3 made big headlines this week, guys. And one of the main themes that you would have seen and the main questions that you would have seen asked has been, what does this say about democracy? If a body can throw out its own members, and again, there are rules for this, and people want an investigation by Department of Justice and others as to whether the Tennessee legislature, the House and the Senate, followed the law. They're saying obviously they had grounds based on decorum, took the vote, and the vote went the way it went. But yeah, I think it was a real wake-up call for a lot of people. Like, could this happen in my state? Could this happen somewhere else? Was it truly justified? There were many questions left after we saw this, and I think it sent a little bit of a shockwave around the country and even around the world. That again, it seemed as if it had some other motivation other than what they say it was, which was disrupting and so-called, I think one state house rep, a Republican state house rep, said they were throwing a temper tantrum on the floor and that won't be tolerated. Is that enough to get you removed from your seat? Should that be enough to get you removed from your seat? Well, this brother here had a lot to say about it. Oh my goodness. Justin Pearson. This is the second African-American young man lawmaker that was removed and then reinstated. Y'all hit the like button, please, as you come in. As I was listening to his speech post-reinstatement, when he's from Memphis, when the Memphis City Council, in less than 5 minutes, took their vote and said, no, we're sending you back. Thank you very much. He was overcome with joy. And the message that he had on the steps outside of the government building where he was reinstated was one of the most phenomenal, which I say, just real, raw emotion of the moment speeches I've ever seen. And it was really, really moving. Go watch it. It's on the Roland Martin channel. Go look up Justin Pearson. And his incantation, I believe in a vision. Yes. A vision for Memphis. Yes. A vision for, like, going back and forth, but the tenor changed and the rhythm changed, and it just kept going higher and higher and higher. So moving, as some of you have said here, reminiscent of, which I say, the old civil rights era teachers, preachers, leaders, those who sacrificed. So many people were moved by this gentleman's response to everything. Both of them, Justin Jones and Justin Pearson, have really held themselves in such a way that a lot of people have been just super proud of how, even though they were in one of the most difficult situations a lawmaker can be in, how much they carried themselves in such a professional and upstanding manner. What you saying, Mandrill? That's ridiculous. Listen, you gotta really take a look at what happened, the timeline, but it did not take a super long time. This is the speech. Watch this speech. I can't tell you again. Justin Pearson's speech. Watch it. It's on YouTube. One of the most moving speeches. A couple thousand people standing out there. As soon as he was reinstated, he was whisked into some SUVs, ready to head over back to Nashville, where the state capitol is. But that movement, when he said he's seen a vision with, white folks and black folks, and in his words, straight folks and queer folks and old folks and young folks, and it was just so bright. broad and full of hope. It was just so moving. It was just so, I was like, that this guy caught the Holy Ghost in the middle of his speech. It was just so moving. Go watch Justin Pearson's speech after he was reinstated. What I'm talking about, fire from the belly, just raw response to all the foolishness with the most uplifting, what they say, edifying version of what democracy should look like in his speech. It was so moving. So moving. Go watch it. But yeah, it was an amazing yet very sad week, all stemming from them speaking up against senseless gun violence. He has spoken about, Mr. Pearson has spoken about losing his best friend, several others in his life to gun violence. When you look at the gun violence, I think this was like the 40th, they said, deadly shooting for, what was it, Kentucky just this week? Even had the doctors coming out and saying, when we see these type of injuries, they say certain rifles, it's like it moves so fast, it just pulverizes bone, pulverizes, organs. You can't save people. And they were just talking about how they're so used to, the hospital was talking about, a representative from the hospital from the Kentucky-based mass shooting that took place this week, was just talking about how doctors are not even phased anymore. They didn't have to call out shifts and get the experts in, because all of them have become trauma experts with the amount of trauma cases, meaning high caliber, I guess you would call it, weaponry cases in terms of what is being used out here to harm people. But the Tennessee 3 made a very big statement, y'all. It basically, my takeaways, it created two folk heroes. The people that they sought to destroy actually just got stronger. Thank you, Damon. I was just referring to Louisville, Kentucky, and what happened there. But it's almost like, again, 1 week, this just happened, that happened, and then we're on to the next one, and it's thoughts and prayers, and we're on to the next one, the next city, and then it's poor them, and I'm so sorry it happened to y'all. But nothing has changed as far as the desire for reform, what they say, common sense gun reform. It's not, there's been no change, right? We're on mass shooting 140, where 3 or more people pass away, and it's only April. It's only April. Woo. CBN's Tech Talks says that's not even the worst thing that's going on. A red state wants to pass a law to marry a girl as young as 12. Wow. And this is coming from the GOP. Woo. Wow. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I did not actually follow up on this article, but I saw it on social media that there was some sort of proposal with parental permission, but still marrying off a child. I'm like, wait a minute now. We're going to other countries to fight that. Y'all told us Afghanistan, oh, we got to create a future where girls can live and become. It's really out here, scaring people. What we're saying is okay, and then what we're not addressing at all. It's really kind of backwards. Hey, Sandy W says, the rest of the world is watching us. And unfortunately, tourists are not considering coming here for their safety. I saw that too. That there are certain places that are giving warnings against Florida, certain states in specific, saying to their citizens, and again, tourism, etc., is a huge part of what we do, a huge part of what we are. And because of my great governor and some of the bills that have been coming through, people are being warned against coming here, coming to parts of the United States because of what they're seeing on television and the narrative that is being created each and every week. Absolutely. Being reprimanded and being expelled are two different things, 100%. So there are people that said there was room for punishment, a far lesser punishment or inquiry into what they did or if it was inappropriate. But I love this picture because I'm like, they're getting the last laugh. All of the people who thought they were going to destroy these young men's careers and that of Miss Gloria Johnson, they actually created like I said, folk heroes. People would say rock stars, superstars out of it. But could this happen elsewhere? I think was a question many of us were thinking, like, is this real? And again, the optics were just so bad. Wow. Let me see. Cindy W. adds, kids marrying to older adults in Arkansas has passed a law allowing certain kids to work. Child labor laws must not count anymore. Yes, I heard this, that there is a shortage of places, and I'm not sure, I haven't read about this Arkansas bill. Because there is shortage of labor, they're thinking about lowering the age of when people can start working, when children, let me not say people, because they're still children, they're still innocent. And when they can start working and moving it to a possible younger age. That's crazy. Primrose says, let's be ready to support them. When the what? She's like, don't cheer too loud, sis. Let me drink my water. Now, I think they trying to dig up stuff now. At least they're young. Hopefully there's nothing that deep. There are many that would say they got to watch their back, front, side, up, down, everywhere right now, because people are going to be looking to smear them. I hear you, sis. Better they are most definitely they are most definitely being planned on right now. Smear campaigns. I hear you. Yeah, it's really sad that in this political climate, you're going to have people who really want to make a bold statement about, folks who are on a different end of the spectrum when it comes to their politics. And what I realize is that I think it was President Obama that tweeted that trying to shut down or silence dissension, right? Differences of opinion is the weakest form of leadership. I'm paraphrasing. And so what they thought they had accomplished in that very hasty vote to expel these two young African-American and very outspoken lawmakers, I think actually worked in the opposite way and actually worked for the lawmakers themselves, raising their profile, allowing them much more national notoriety now. And it has hurt brand Tennessee, because it really sounds like, what's going on over in Tennessee? Is that how they treat people? Was it intentionally done? Or does it appear? Does it matter if it only appears to be racially motivated? The outcome was that 2 black men were expelled. The optics are just horrible. Just horrible. Let me see. I'm going to read a few more comments, guys. I'm going to get out of here. I have to jump off, but I'll be seeing you guys next week. Make sure you check out. Let me just put them up one more time. Final comments now, please, on the Tennessee 3. Join me Wednesday talking about women and career versus balancing relationships. Why both need to be important. It's called The Soft Life with the Edified Minds podcast. The Edified Minds podcast joins me Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Make sure you have already hit the notification bell. The stream is up. Go to my page, SuzetteSpeaks, and you'll see the upcoming shows. This is one of them, Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern. I'm bringing on the brothers then. The bro code will be discussed next week, Thursday, 4:30 in the afternoon Eastern. How do you know where my shows are? On YouTube. Just go ahead and look up SuzetteSpeaks and you will see what's good and what shows I have coming on, y'all. I'm back and I'm grateful that you guys are rocking with me. Appreciate, Rosalind with the super sticker. Thank you. Good to see you, sis. Appreciate you always supporting. But yeah, we have some interesting conversations coming up. I have some entrepreneurs I want to also invite, talk about just, ways to make extra money. I know people are feeling inflation still, but I think the politics and the climate of what's happening around the country to me is super important. So figuring out what's happening with these people, how we can prevent it in other states. Like I said, when I look at Florida and everything that's happening, my heart gets heavy. So whether you live here, different states, around the world, it's always important that we share information, right? It impacts the globe oftentimes more than we know. So, yes, Sandy, thank you. I appreciate you, Damon. I appreciate you so much, Rosalind. Again, thank you. Primrose says they have always been treating them poorly, but it was the wrong time. Listen, the strategy meeting was missing diversity because they didn't think about how this could have played out. They didn't think the world was going to pay attention. If you look at how Justin Jones, the one with the ponytail, interacts now with the speaker, I feel like Justin have more power than the speaker. The speaker has to be very delicate, like as if he's not trying to be partial or trying to single him out. So he's just like, Mr. Speaker, I want to ask you questions, but I'm going to ask them from my, my desk here on the floor for full transparency. Mr. Speaker, I have not received blah, 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 blah. And he do it so softly, smoothly, and professionally. And the speaker always looking crazy because he has to like now use kid gloves and be very sensitive to him. They actually shifted the power dynamic towards these two men. I think they have more power now than when they were sitting there, even though they're in the minority party and there's way more Republicans and Democrats. They're wielding much more power now. They have woken a sleeping giant there in Tennessee. But yeah, I appreciate all of you. Soft life, Jeremy asked what the definition of the soft life is. I think it's a life when we're talking about heteronormative traditional living, where there is a man and a woman sharing responsibilities and trying to, what should I say, build more of an environment where they rely on one another instead of going it alone. That's what I think of when I say the soft life. So I think sometimes women are being pushed to see only one way of living, do it yourself, for yourself, by yourself, and that they don't deserve the soft life, or that it should not be a desire of them to have, this other half that hopefully brings, which I say, protection. And I heard a lady on a show on Roland Martin call it. She said there was such a deep sense of security after she got married, even though for herself she had already done very well in business, et cetera, paid off her debt, owned homes, all this other stuff. But there was a certain, I think the word she used, security with having a husband for her that she described. So that's all wrapped up in this discussion Jeremy called the soft life. So I can't wait to talk about it. The lady who I have, Kennedy is her name, first name, I think it's Kennedy Edwards. She has a podcast and she talks about this. And women, I'm looking on Instagram real quick, y'all. Women choosing the soft life is like, as soon as I went on her Instagram, I was like, I need you. Yeah, Kennedy Edwards will be here Wednesday, y'all. And I asked her, let's talk about it. And her page, I use the language from her page. I am Lady Kennedy J is hers on Insta. It's a personal blog, and she says, sharing clips of my hashtag soft life. She uses that term. It's not one that I originated. And I was like, ooh, the soft life, okay. And then she says Proverbs 31, woman in tech. She's out of ATL, and she hosts a podcast called Edified Mind. So I was like, okay, since that's what you put on your stuff, I asked her, I got in her DMs, and I was like, but I want you to talk about, balancing career and dating, and highlighting your experience in the soft life. So that's why the show on Wednesday is called Soft Life. I hope that answers your question. But yeah, I was like, oh, okay, let's have different opinions and different experiences here on YouTube, because everybody doesn't have a one size fits all mindset and way of looking at life. And I love when I hear other people's experiences and how it changes me and how I think about what I want. So that's the goal. It's not to preach to anybody. It's not to say, hey, you want this, you should want this, or you don't, something's wrong with you. No. But I believe in having open kind of discussions with people with unique points of view that can lend their experience to others who may not have ever met nobody from that walk of life or from that type of experience. So we're going to talk about it on Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern. So I appreciate you guys. Sandy B, leave your comments, guys, about the Tennessee 3 and everything that you thought about this crazy story that unfolded. Yes, I see you, Damon. Oh, my minister, he says, scripture says that a soft answer turns away wrath 100%. So we got to learn how to utilize soft power, I say, as women, but also as men. All right. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. I will see you this week. Yes, we back at it. Shout out to Jamaicans.com. And again, feel free to leave your comments and be sure to like and be sure to share the broadcast. I will see you guys soon, everybody. Thanks, everybody who contributed today. And I appreciate each and every one of you watching. I'll see you on Jamaicans.com next Saturday and on the Suzette Speaks YouTube channel. Once again, if you're watching on the Facebook side, just go over to YouTube. Suzette Speaks, and you can look me up there and check out all my shows. I got new shows coming up in the last 2 weeks here of the month, so I'm excited to get the interviews rolling and catch me on Rolling Martin every Wednesday from 3 to 5 with my brother Faraji Muhammad. We're having some great discussions over there. We just had a great show this past Wednesday talking about the Tennessee 3, and some other hot topics that came up, the Dalai Lama, and trying to insinuate what he insinuated. We went into a couple different directions, what Cardi B had to say about it. It was some good discussions. So I can't wait to see you guys again soon. Hit the like button on your way out. Thanks for watching.